Hey, Nick Smoot here, founder of the Innovation Collective, and bringing you the American Dream Factory podcast and short videos once in a while. It's a part of kind of our journey of the Innovation Collective. We're a company that is helping build community, very purposeful community across the country that is focused on curiosity and exploring that curiosity and kind of passions and dreams people have, and then building a community where they can get accountability and support and access to training and funding and venture capital so that people can ship their dreams. And we tie those communities to big industry and brands so that they can flourish and become an innovation engine for a lot of corporate America, uncovering really incredible talent all over the country. We're in multiple states, in all the corners of the United States, and have done some work outside of the US. If you have questions, check us out at innovationcollective.co. But today, I interviewed a guy that's become a friend, Paul Erikson, and he's the founder of a great digital agency. And his story is incredible, very inspiring to me, and hopefully to you, especially during a time, we touched on this briefly in the podcast, or the video. I'm not sure what to call things anymore. But he went through a period where his marriage fell apart. He lost his job in corporate America. He started a startup and found himself in a spot a lot of people find themselves in, where we want to blame circumstances, we want to blame other things. And instead of blaming, Paul just drove forward and continued to build. And he has a successful, growing company that is still growing, still hiring, still building for new clients during the pandemic. And his story to me is very inspiring, and I hope it inspires you, especially if you are somebody who is struggling in your company, or if you feel like you are in a spot where you feel stuck and you want to build something new, a new life, a new vision, a new mission. Just know your life's not over. As long as you have breath in your lungs, you still have something to give to the world. You still have something to give to yourself. So again, hope this inspires you, and I hope you connect with us at innovationcollective.co. So this is Paul, and today we're going to be kind of talking through and discussing his journey, his digital company, and kind of the world of innovation and community. So a couple questions for Paul. First off, what's the name of your company?
Enquire Digital.
Enquire. How do you spell it?
Enquire with an E, E-N-Q-U-I-R-E. And there's a little story back behind that. Being a digital marketing agency, started thinking, what is a digital marketing agency? Who are we? We're part of the internet. Well, what is the internet? Internet's the World Wide Web. Okay, well, what's the World Wide Web? As you start digging back, the very first project with the World Wide Web was a project called the Enquire project by Tim Berners-Lee back in 1980.
Oh, really?
Called the Enquire project was the predecessor to the World Wide Web, and that's how we came up with the word Enquire, because also the word inquire is to ask of, or to inquire of, and so we want to ask about businesses. We want them to ask what we have to offer, and so it's kind of the story
I like that.
behind how we came up with Enquire Digital.
Didn't Berners-Lee, did he die this year? Or am I thinking of someone else?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Someone of the godfather of the internet world passed away this last year.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't know the story behind that.
Yeah. This is
So,
a tidbit.
is it inquiredigital.com?
InquireDigital.com. Yep.
Awesome. And so, a couple things. We're going to talk about your business, but I wanted to specifically discuss kind of like your journey into your business as well.
Yeah.
Because if we look at the world right now, you and I were talking a little bit before this about the pandemic, about a lot of the tensions and kind of like the global pressure around George Floyd and the protests. And there's a feeling in the world that it feels destabilized a little bit. Like there's people, uncertainty. And then already, work was changing rapidly with digital. And I think some people might feel like they're down on their luck, or some people might feel uneasy about the future. And I think you have a really fascinating story. So let's jump briefly into like your journey. So you worked in the digital world for like how many years of your life?
I've been doing it since 2006. I was in hospitality for 11, 12 years early on, always working up into management, just trying to make an impact in wherever I was at. And a good friend of mine had started a digital marketing company where he was doing all email marketing, national level, big brands, affiliate marketing, and had to start going to school myself for network administration. And he's like, hey, I need somebody to help manage some servers and some IP addresses and things like that. So The pieces kind of fell together. I dropped out of school to go work for him in this tech company, not really knowing what I was getting into, but willing to take the risk to see, where could that go, because I knew that hospitality was, one route, but technology is really what I was passionate about. So since 2006,
awesome.
I got into digital marketing.
So it's a very wise time to shift into digital marketing, right?
It was, yes and no.
Well, I guess 08, right?
Yeah, 06, 08. And at the time, they were actually going through some complications at the time. They actually were going through a potential lawsuit because of some things that they had done that was facilitated by an upper campaign they're doing, that somebody told them to run some advertisements for a certain campaign in a certain way.
Okay.
They ran it that way, and somebody said, "Oh, you're bait and switching." And so I jumped in with a lot of risk involved, thinking, I trust that this is the industry to get into. So
got it.
Yeah, interesting situation.
Yeah, it sounds like it. When digital has just taken off in a fantastic way.
For sure.
And so you end up working for a digital agency, and you're leading that agency, and you increase their sales significantly, and then you decide, like, I'm going to leave this agency. Is that like an accurate
so
way?
that company we had built up, and we kind of got squeezed out, and I had to pivot into another company locally here, another agency. Been with that one, I spent 3 years there, but they were doing some pivoting there too with an actual full-blown agency. It wasn't just email marketing with this other company. But this company, I realized it wasn't going the direction that I was going to go or wanted to go, and pivoted out of that.
Okay. And when you pivot out of that one, this is when things kind of quote unquote change for you.
Very much so.
And hit the fan might be a way.
Yes.
And I want to emphasize something. We talked about this before. We were having an appetizer and a glass of wine.
Yes.
And we were talking about how a lot of people in life have things that happen, circumstances that happen. We all do, right? That aren't positive.
Yep.
And many people feel discounted, or like they're less than, or like game's over.
Yep.
And so they should just give up.
Yep.
And you went through some significant, let's call them just not positive experiences. They're negative, rough patches. So describe that season of what were the rough patches in kind of sequence.
Yep. So here I'm coming into 40 years of age. I got married young. I have a daughter. At the time I had a daughter who was almost 18, a son that was 14, and another. So kids getting a little older, 40 years old. Company I was with was kind of doing some restructuring. I figured, a good time to change. Decided to leave that and start a new agency of my own, taking a risk. Midlife crisis, who knows, whatever. Midlife change, pivot, and turns out that my wife and I ended up separating. Kind of a abrupt moment that we decided that life wasn't going the same direction for both of us, and very quickly, kids didn't know what was happening. Had to pivot our life. So here I'm starting a business. It's summer of 2018. Start a new business. 3 months in, wife and I separate. I'm sitting here trying to figure out now, after 19 years of marriage, how to handle life as a single father, starting a company that doesn't have much revenue coming in yet. By all means, start questioning, are the stars aligned for me to go this route, or should I be reconsidering going back and clocking in somewhere and just getting by for now? So.
Well, and on top of that, so to be clear, the company you were working for, they were restructuring, and then they gave you an option, hey, you can head out.
The
door, basically.
Which way do you want to stay in, or you want to stay out? And
you took that out, and so then now you lost the corporate job that had the paycheck. Say, I'm going to start the new thing, and then you and your wife are like, hey, this is not working out. So now you're in startup mode, new dad, and so you start a digital company.
Digital agency.
And let's be honest, starting a startup is hard anyways.
Yeah.
And then you have all those other compounding things.
Yeah.
A lot of people in that moment would give up, or would feel like this is just too much.
Yeah.
So fast forward, you've now outgrown your original little office. You had an office that fit a couple people.
10 by 10 office. It was originally me and my partner, programmer. We squeezed in a space here that you guys were at. So nice to give us. July 3rd, we signed the lease. July 4th, we found our independence, started a company. And fast forward now, we've gone from the two of us starting up to less than 2 years into it. We now are hiring for a 6th person.
Wow.
We've outgrown the space.
And you're about to double your revenues this year as well.
Doubling our revenue. We've done our revenue from last year as of right now, and so we anticipate with what we see in the workflow to at least double it, if not 2.5 times the revenue last year.
Which is awesome. And this is a 2 years into your business, right?
Yeah, July 3rd this year will be our 2nd year being in the building here.
I think your story, to me, should be something that gives a lot of people hope in two areas. One is that you can learn new skills. And then the other one is that when it feels difficult or kind of negative, that you're not done.
No, it's just a season.
Yeah, it's a season. And so were there any things you would tell yourself when it was really, like, did you have dark moments?
I would say there was a couple here and there. There was moments that it's like, just identifying where is this going? Is this the right path? You question things for sure when you're that much changes in 1 year. It's a lot of questions.
What did you tell yourself during that time?
Really just that this is just a season, and I will get through this. I'm strong enough to get through this. Life, everything in life comes down to a choice.
Yeah.
That choice to leave, that choice to start, that choice to progress and to proceed and to continue to build and cultivate and create things together, create opportunities both for myself, for our employees, for our community. I'm born and raised, born in Sandpoint. I want my kids to grow up here, and I want my life for my family to exist in a better capacity, to be here, to not have to go somewhere else. So I was just driven that I'm going to make this happen.
What part did community play into that for you? Was there ever times that you found maybe people you were working around in the den or through community or outside of here in other spaces? Did you have people who were crucial to kind of quote unquote keeping you on the rails or were additive?
I think life is about community. It's about relationships. I'm very relationship driven. I'm not in business to build business for myself. I'm in business to build relationships with other businesses. Most of our business is built with partners, independent developers and designers who want to collaborate together. It's not about Enquire Digital. It's about Enquire Digital and the relationships that we have building together. And so just you guys here in the den alone, just offering us this space, this environment, the coffee shop, the environment to build and cultivate, create relationships, friends and family, both in personal life, in church life, in just all aspects of life. I think we need people in our lives. Yeah. And that's, hopefully the direction we're seeing through this COVID virus too, that, there's so much more than our identity in work and in social media. There, we really had to sit back
rethinking,
and reflect. Yeah. What is life?
And your business has grown during the pandemic.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've skyrocketed. People are realizing, we've talked about digital, we've built this relationship, but we didn't take that jump yet. We need to recircle and look at that now because, we have been closed-minded. We're looking at our brick and mortar store, and we're not looking at how do we take it outside of our walls. The digital world allows us to exit the digital walls and be like, I'm a barber, I cut hair. How can I offer tutorials to other barbers around the world for a subscription basis? Or I'm a yoga instructor. How can I offer classes online where people can do yoga from home? Right. You start thinking about, even if you're service-based, how do we start getting out of the confines of our brick and mortar store and get online and charge subscriptions or there's
something.
So much potential in just thinking big.
And when you think about, let's pretend someone's listening to this and they're going through a similar situation. Maybe it's a divorce. Maybe it's feeling like they've hit the bottom.
Yeah, lose a job.
Yeah, lose a job. Death of a good friend or family member, and they're trying to launch something new. Do you have any insight or thoughts that you would share with them? Because look, you went through a divorce, becoming a single dad. You launched a startup. And you went from having a small office to now having a awesome suite, hiring staff, employing people, growing a company during a pandemic when a lot of people are struggling. That to me is it is the story, right? Of fighting through something. And it's in an area where you learned a new skill, right? You went from hospitality to digital. Mm-hmm. There are people in hospitality, you and I talked about this. Yeah. How many dishwashers or servers or bartenders are out there that have, if that's their calling, great, stay in it. Right. But how many are hiding from their real gifts because it feels safe or comfortable or they've given up on their dreams? Yep. And that's bullshit. Yep. And those people need to find a path forward. So I guess what I'm asking is, for those who hear this or feel like they're in a situation where they're thinking about jumping, 2 questions. 1, do you view the world as digital as fading, or a good place to put some effort and energy to find your fit? It might not be being a coder, but what does that mean to fit into digital world? And then the second question is, what advice would you have for someone who feels like at the bottom of the barrel?
So as far as the digital world, I think that this is just a big sign that digital is going to become more and more important. We're having to do school through digital. We're having to do e-commerce through digital. video webinars. Life is being pushed in a digital direction for social distancing, and I don't foresee that changing anytime soon. I think this is a new way of life just after the Great Depression, the World Wars. This is a pivotal moment where life is changing and people are finding new ways to do more things digital. I think we're going to see a lot of exponential growth in the space in all different aspects. People producing things. There's going to be new creations coming out of this for sure. So I think it's a safe area to get into, if nothing else, to learn a little bit of programming, to understand how the internet works, how websites work.
Sure.
I think that how marketing works, searching things, how do they show up in ads, retargeting. There's so much to this potential to understand, either if you're going to build a business for an idea you have for yourself, or you're building business for a business you're working with. Digital's not going away. There's no better place to put time into.
Do you think everyone has to be a coder?
Nobody. No. These days, everybody doesn't have to be a coder. There's so many drag and drop websites. You can build websites without knowing a single bit of code. And that's our websites that we build for people. A lot of the times, we hand those off to clients and show them how to do this drag and drop things, and they can build a website without.
Well, and I'm a big fan of figuring out what's your authentic skill sets and how to apply it to the digital world.
For sure, yeah.
You were mentioning some of your staff, how you help them find their fit. Yeah. And it might not be a coder, but there's different roles they can play to build a company in the digital world. Yeah. So, and then the last question being, someone who feels like they're at the bottom of the barrel, do you have any advice for someone who's like that? Because you probably, recently in your life felt there.
Yeah. So fortunately, I was kind of prepped for that to some degree recently, in that there were some hardships that we saw in our relationship, and knew there were some things that we had to overcome, and I felt that we would overcome them, but it turned out we didn't. And it just kept. Somebody told me, that we're all in different seasons of our life. There's a spring, a summer, a fall, and a winter. And the spring is when you're just out of high school, you're fresh and full of life, ready to just go take on the world. And then summer is kind of more like the late 20s into the late 30s, and you kind of start figuring out, adapting into the summer and the comfort of life. And then the fall. So I just always keep telling myself that I'm in a season of life, and it's going to change at some point in time, and just get through this season and make the most of this season. Enjoy the summer, enjoy the spring, enjoy the fall, wherever you're at, whatever season of life you're in. Just experience that on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. Progressing your life where you're at. Every day at 12:01 a.m. in the morning, you're starting a fresh new day, fresh new start.
Preach.
No matter what happened yesterday, today's a new day. Go out and make it better for yourself, for your team members, for your community. It's just the past is the past. Use the past to guide the direction of where you're going in the future, but don't let it dictate who you are and how you're going to get to that future.
Right. I'm a big fan. So there's this song by Beowulf. He's a DJ. It used to be on Spotify, and then it's one that they fade out.
I've seen you post that.
Yeah, they fade out songs on Spotify. Yeah. Like, have you ever seen this? Like, it's like there, but you can't play it, and you don't know why. It drives me nuts. I don't know why. It's like maybe available in another country, but not here all of a sudden. Right. But it's still on YouTube. So I'll listen to the Beowulf song on YouTube if I'm willing to put up with a commercial. But the song is like from Kung Fu Panda. Okay. And it's the panda complaining about life. Now I should go back and make noodles, and he's not like the other cool ninjas with claws and things. So and then Master Shifu, like the rat hamster kung fu guy, goes, "Noodles, don't noodles. You're too concerned with what was or what will be." Basically just being like, look, you want to go make noodles? Go make noodles. Like, quit whining. Right. And then he says, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. Yes. That is why we call it the present. Yep. So and I think your life really exemplifies that, of like, just live in the present and build. And there's a better day coming. Yeah. As long as you're willing to invest the time, the energy, and the effort, and keep grinding.
Yeah, it'll be hard, but the rewards are worth it.
Oh, and I think, Paul, your story and your journey and your emphasis on digital is important for a lot of people out there. But thank you. And if people want to find you again, enquiredigital.com with an E. And do you have like an email you want to share with people?
Yeah, you can find it on the site. This is Paul at Enquire Digital.
Perfect.
Info at Enquire Digital. All of our stuff's on the website. We're working on our portfolio. Put that up there too, but I'm happy to share it with you.
And they can find you on social media too, like.
Yep, we're on social media. We're on Facebook. Right. We're on Instagram. We're not as active at that yet as a startup. We're just putting our time where it's best suited. But free consultations. We've got clients we've spent. The sales cycle is 90 days. We put our time into making sure we're doing it right. We're not there to just sign a contract. We're there to educate, to guide, and to grow, build together. It's we have an incredible team of people that have a wide variety of skill sets that weren't suited in digital potentially even, but comes down to the soft skills, the ability to adapt, to think critically, to want to build and cultivate together.
Yeah.
And so I have the best team in the world for the small team that we have, and then the network of contractors and people we utilize, work with, and grow together with. Got some great people that
I love
build a
it.
business together.
Yeah, I'm very grateful to have you in the Innovation Collective community and a part of the Den and the building.
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, and I appreciate, your story, because I think it's a lot of what we believe in is like, how do we help people build the tomorrow they want through community today? And when I think about who you are and how many people feel discounted because of things that they've gone through that are similar, you're a great story of like, don't complain.
Oh, thanks.
Get up off the ground and keep moving. So I'm really stinking proud of you, and I really appreciate just you for a lot of things. And I hope a lot of people are inspired, not in a touchy-feely way,
right.
but in a way to get off their asses and build.
Yeah.
So hopefully a lot of people engage with you,
yeah,
connect, and thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.